pronounce? Sagas, Icelandic sagas. You've heard about Icelandic sagas. These are East Atlantic sagas. And he speaks so fast that people didn't even catch. They just heard someone is selling Icelandic sagas here, and he was selling 200 Bhagavad Gitas on the street like that. And but afterwards, people when came back, they were not completely satisfied. And they thought it was something else. And and the point, and also, I mean, he didn't last either because he was not, somehow he was not straightforward, and he could not. I also know that from myself. I was, in the beginning, I was told to distribute books in a somewhat not straightforward way, telling me collecting for this and that, and some drug addicts and help people and like that. In other places, it was also, we collecting here, we collecting for starving children in India and like that, and give a donation, and here's a book and so on. And it works. People they would buy, but as it did, and I know for myself, I get completely screwed up inside. At one point, I couldn't even look at people or speak with people because I couldn't be honest with people. And then I remember I started just telling people here, I'm a monk, I'm saying these people, and actually found out it was great. It wasn't people like that. It wasn't a problem. And then I could speak much more. And felt really good about it. And the point was actually also that one might, have the ability to be somewhat tricky and even dishonest with some people, and with devotees to be very open and straightforward. But actually, one found out one can no longer draw the line. One will not even be able to be honest with devotees and so on, and the whole thing will become very blurry. And that's very destructive. If we do not have honest relationships amongst each other, we become also somewhat lying and cheating and diplomatic amongst each other and speaking about, against each other and so on. Actually, that can undermine the whole, that will undermine our whole community of devotees. It's the most valuable thing we have, as it's an international society for Krishna consciousness. Means that actually we are a society of devotees, and society means it has to be very like a family. Dealings within between each other, amongst each other, has to be like like we are in a family. And a family means that, of course, there's openness, honesty, integrity. Maybe there's somewhat protection in that. It's not that, for example, older parents do not necessarily speak everything to the children. For example, the parents do not argue in front of the children. That's very if one does that, it's so destructive. So parents should not do that. But that does not mean that there's certain things parents don't discuss in front of the children. It doesn't mean that they are dishonest. It means that and the children know that they're being protected by parents like that. But so that can also be here, and that will also be here. Older devotees might have some discussions which they don't involve all the younger devotees in. But that's just that's part of the integrity. But it's extremely important that we have very open, honest, and so on dealings amongst each other. We can trust each other. We have the trust. We know that, and that we are. We're not trying to achieve something by using each other. That's it's a basis of the whole community of devotees. So it's this integrity, like here we have talking about honesty, not lying, and so on, is a foundation, absolute foundation for having a society of Krishna conscious devotees. So we see here that how severe reactions there are for breaking these regulated principles, for breaking honesty and so on. It's a serious thing. It's there in the Bhagavatam because actually it's a serious thing, and it's as I say, it's the basis of all our practice. It's not pure devotional service to be an honest person or to follow regulated principles as such, but then again, without it, there cannot be any pure devotional service. And we'll see it's found. Heard someone, some say here there's something mentioned about liquor, not drinking. So that's, of course, it's one of the 4 regulated principles. Someone sometimes heard that someone says it's something recent and something that Prabhupada introduced. It's not really in the Shastras. Have anyone heard that being said? I heard something, somewhere somebody said something like that. So I'm glad no one has heard anything like that here, because it's not correct. It's absolutely not correct. This is in the Shastra. You find in Manu Samhita. Manu Samhita is, the Dharma is our main. Prabhupada actually said that Manu Samhita, leaders especially should know the Manu Samhita. You should know, of course, Bhagavatam, you should know the Bhagavad Gita and so on. But leaders also should know the Manu Samhita. Although Prabhupada himself did not translate the Manu Samhita, but he writes in several places in 321 purport to Bhagavad Gita that leaders, they should be familiar with Manu Samhita and other Dharma Shastras. That's where the principles of morality and justice and law and so on, they're given in the Manu Samhita, and they're the principles that we also, they're actually, they're eternal principles, they're the Vaishnava principles. So they actually, it's told that anyone in the Varnashram actually should follow 4 principles: no hunting, no drinking, no how would it explain that? Sex outside of marriage, and no dice, no playing of dice. So there we see actually that's the 4 regulated principles. Hunting, killing animals, of course, it's from. I'm sure Vyasadeva could have imagined, but somehow he put it like that, because this system of organized slaughterhouses and so on is so beyond civilized behavior. You don't even think. Hunting means no meat eating, no drinking, but that means as a broad category, it also means LSD and crack and whatever else chemical things that in principle is no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no dice means no gambling. So the principles are there. They are there in the Manu Samhita, and they're just the foundational principles of any religious life, what to speak of pure devotional service. And so we have been warned here. We're getting some very sobering instructions here in the Bhagavatam, actually to become serious. I mean, devotional service is, in one sense, a joyful path, and it's fun, and we are laughing, and we're dancing, and we're singing, and we're doing many, and that's part of it. But also, there is the other side. It's a very serious thing, and we have to seriously, abstain from all the sinful activities which are mentioned here in the Bhagavatam. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we can go to hell, or we can create a very hell situation. Or as a devotee, of course, a devotee in one sense says, even if a devotee commits the most abominable activities he should still be considered saintly because he's right, if he's engaged in devotional service, because he's rightly situated in his determination, Krishna says. One of the somewhat difficult to understand verses for some in some ways. As Prabhupada of course clearly points out, it doesn't mean that a devotee cannot engage in any kind, just engage in sinful activities and still consider himself a devotee because he's chanting Hare Krishna. That doesn't work. It's not a license for committing sinful activities. But Prabhupada talks about it's due to habit and weakness and like that, one may slip. So a devotee should not be derided for some kind of accidental fall down. He should actually still be considered a sadhu, a saintly person, if he just goes on with the devotional service. But then again, it does create. If somehow or other we do, for example, break principles, we do commit sinful activities, it definitely creates a big mess in our own life, in our practice of devotional service. It creates a somewhat hellish situation for ourselves even. One may, somehow be able still to continue, but one can screw one's life up drastically and affect and ruin the lives of others also, of course, and especially also ruin the life of one's relationship to other devotees. One may still be able to somehow or other be connected with Krishna consciousness, but not in a simple and easy and straightforward way, if one simply follows the whole process as it is, including following the principles, not breaking any principles, and just going on with Krishna consciousness. Then life is actually very simple. Krishna consciousness it really works if one simply practices it properly and follows the principles. But breaking the principles, then it becomes, probably one will not go to hell's planet as a devotee, and one can also, if one is to be a big rascal. I don't think we're not rascals. Prabhupada was very generous with the label rascal. Even I heard one lecture he calls Arjuna a rascal. He was a rascal, but then he became, after Krishna's instruction, then he was not a rascal anymore. But Prabhupada was very generous with the label rascal, because actually if we do not surrender, we actually are rascals. But the thing is, if we do not follow strictly, following strictly and simply practicing, then it's actually so easy to become a devotee. Then it's like a broad highway. It's just going straight back, going back to God. But if one starts, again, somewhat compromising and so on, I think Krishna will ultimately bring us back, and we might at the end, sometimes you see that devotees lying in the, on the deathbed and like that, and then they kind of remember Krishna like that. Krishna's special mercy is there, but it could have been so much easier to, life could have been so much easier if they didn't have at one point screwed their life up with some kind of breaking of principles. It's again, the warning is here. This is description of hell, and it's just that don't go to hell. Don't act in such a way that we go to hell. Simple. It's a little trivial. It's a simple message, but of course, spiritual life is simple for those who are simple. So a simple instruction is very valuable for those who are simple by nature. And first comments.
You talked about Manu Samhita. I believe I heard that Prabhupada, he also said that you go to hell if you read Manu Samhita.
And where is that?
I don't know, I didn't read it, I heard it from a devotee.
Yeah.
But it was in reference to, because there's so many warnings, you do this, you get this reaction. So I think the point was that you become so entangled with don't do this and don't do that and do this. So but I don't have any specific reference. I just
no, you have to see it.
Okay.
This is the purport to 3.1 Bhagavad Gita. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard shastras. So how actually he says here that the leader, he should teach on the basis of Manu Samhita. I mean, he has no Manu Samhita.
I would like to know the name of the devotee who said that, we go to hell and we want something.
Yeah,
I would like to know his name.
Okay.
I don't recall if it was in the kitchen at some time.
Huh?
It was in the kitchen sometime, but I don't recall.
Someone in the kitchen.
Someone in the kitchen. We have many people here sitting somewhere saying something. So maybe I could use the opportunity to actually appeal to anybody, don't talk to bhaktas, new devotees, this kind of foolishness. We try to have a peaceful time, remembering what Prabhupada said, and everybody is peaceful is in his service. Anybody coming here, talking such things and disturbing young devotees in their way to simplify their minds and focusing on the service is doing a great disservice.
Yeah.
That I would like to say in connection to that, because I just heard it. So. Please.
Yeah. Someone who's not qualified to teach, one thing he shouldn't.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Even one who is qualified to teach, but disrespects that kind of shelter a bhakta should have, and involves himself in the life of these devotees who are supposed to peacefully focus on their service, is simply a disturbance.
Isn't it in one sense like that also if you have parents, they have children, isn't it? And they are responsible for training the children, and the rest of us, we cannot just come and start instructing the children or telling the parents that you don't do it. It's, even though we may disagree with the way the children they are being, but how our neighbor are training our children, we may disagree with it. We will not raise our children that way. But similar our business to involve us, so they have, they are doing it. So similarly also with in Krishna consciousness, we've been put under the protection and guidance of someone, and we're teaching someone. And actually, it's true. We do not have the right to someone else is training another devotee. We might want to do it differently, but it's not our right and duty. It's violence actually to think that now I should come and give instructions also. It's completely confusing. It's such a confusing situation. And whoever says that Manu Samhita, who is he? Was it Indra? Okay. I don't know. Maybe he is.
I don't recall. It was quite some months ago.
Okay. No. But Manu Samhita cannot necessarily be understood by everyone. It's especially a book meant for leaders. Brahmanas and Kshatriyas especially should study it like that. Others may not. Maybe that in that context it could be understood. For Sudras and so on, they're not. They cannot really understand Manu Samhita. So it might be someone who's not qualified to read Manu Samhita. If he reads it unauthorized, he might go to hell. I know that. I know deeply that was a context. But the principle of justice are given in Manu Samhita, and actually they're very important to understand. And we often do not practice them. There's, for example, one principle in Manu Samhita is given that there's a punishment. Justice has also punishment is part of. Punishment is part of the process of justice. And but there's a principle in Manu Samhita that someone is punished by the king, and after that, when the punishment is over, he's a pure person. He should be considered a pure person. which in one sense is a natural thing. Also, someone is sentenced, in jail, 4 years in jail. After that, he goes out. He is a free person. It's not that you cannot. Someone committed a crime. He was sentenced. He was sent to jail. He comes out of jail. You cannot, after that, again go and arrest him and punish him for the same thing once again. But there's a tendency to do that. When it gets down to on the level of the people on the street, will sometimes see this person, he many years ago he did such and such, and he should be condemned forever. But that's actually not Manu Samhita. If it was someone who was condemned for doing something and he followed, he was punished, he followed some kind of restriction that was put on afterwards actually should be considered, now he's a pure person. So there are principles like that. There's a principle also in Manu Samhita, which it's most modern law except France, but generally you are to be considered innocent until the opposite has been proven. You know this principle? But they say in France it's different, and if you're dealing with the tax, also the tax department, if you're dealing with the tax department, actually you're guilty unless you prove your innocence.
It's the same in Mexico.
And they also have that in Mexico.
Yeah, if I say that this guy he killed someone, you have to prove that he didn't do it.
Okay. So, but we do not have here in this country, and in most countries the principle is the opposite, and the Manu Samhita's principle is the opposite. You are to be considered innocent until your guilt has been proven. So are we practicing that always? Isn't it? Or he must be guilty because there's a rumor on the internet. Someone is writing on his website that such and such person did that, so he must be guilty. But of course, he may not be just guilty, but often, how often is someone being considered guilty just because there is a rumor? I find that happening all the time, and we're breaking the principle there. We should consider. Of course, one has to, if one is a manager like that, one cannot be naive like that. One has to also take some precautions. That for precaution's sake, one has to leave out a certain maybe category of people who notoriously can create trouble. That might also be there. But especially from a Brahminical point of view, one doesn't consider anyone guilty unless he has actually been proven that he is guilty. Otherwise, he should be considered innocent.
Did Prabhupada have an issue with tea because his wife sold the Srimad Bhagavatam for tea biscuits? Maybe.
Prabhupada had a problem with tea because it's against Vaishnava principles.
Yeah, but many things are, like coffee and so on.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like this story that he's
could have a special, special issue with tea because of that. But it's not why the principle is there.
No.
It was he was raised in the Vaishnava family also where tea was not allowed. His father did not allow tea. Even though tea became very popular, the British people introduced that. It's a typical, British thing that you introduce something it's vices. Something you can sell. Make people addicted to it, and then make money on selling it. Although tea it's actually ridiculous. You can make tea on so many things. All kinds of herbs and plants are growing everywhere. Just pick something, make some tea, and drink it. It doesn't cost you anything. But the British, it's the whole Vaishya policy, and India became completely victim of this. So maybe anyway. So that came there in the think from 1880s, 90s, it became very popular. But not in Vaishnava families like Gaur Mohan's family. And I'm sure Prabhupada had it also, you know. It didn't help that his wife sold the Bhagavatam to buy tea and biscuits. How could you do something like that? Probably Krishna must have covered her over to create that situation, so probably he would leave.
An arrow in the foot.
I mean, that in one sense it's anyway. Often also the relationship, you know, one cannot even understand the dynamics between a particular husband and a particular wife, and one should not even try to understand it. You must not even try to, you know, take sides or anything like that. It's just one should understand this is just a chincha and that's their problem. Okay. Sure. Sorry for this being spaced out later. All goes to Sri Ram and all goes to